of lesson 1-6. Okay, and so what we did is we stopped on your homework there, and today we're going to talk about what happens when you have an absolute value sign with an inequality. What happens when you have an absolute value sign with an inequality? And so what I want you to do is I want you to remember this statement, go LA. Okay, so if you're not like a Lakers fan or something else, okay, what were they, Clippers? Okay, but if you're not one of those fans, tough, you need to remember this because this is going to be what you use to solve these problems. Whenever you have an absolute value sign with an inequality and you have a greater than sign, you have to use the word or. Whenever you have an absolute value sign with an inequality sign and it's a less than sign, you have to use the connector word and. So this only works with absolute value inequalities. Okay, so the other inequalities we did, you don't have to worry about them, just with the absolute value inequalities. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at about 4 examples here. Okay? And so the first example we're going to look at is this one. The absolute value of x is less than 3. So then the question is, how do you solve this? If you remember, if this was an equal to sign, I would put plus or minus 3, right? We had 2 solutions. The same with an absolute value inequality sign. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to rewrite that statement very first. So I'm going to write x is less than 3. Now, less than sign, what connector word do I use? And, because remember it was go LA, so less went with and. Now on this next inequality, I'm going to duplicate the same thing except for I'm going to flip the sign and switch the sign. So I'm going to flip the less than to greater than, and I'm going to switch positive 3 to negative 3. So now what I'm going to do is graph that. And so x is less than 3 means that you're going to have what circle on 3? I'm going to have an open circle on 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place an open circle on 3. Maybe. There we go. Maybe. We'll see if we can get it going here. Where's the hand? Nope. Anyway. There we go. Finally got it. So we're going to put an open circle at 3. And I'm going to shade which way? To the left because it is less than 3, right? So I'm going to shade this way. Now the next one says x is greater than negative 3. So what am I going to do there? Open circle on negative 3, and which way am I going to shade? To the right, okay? Now my answer is going to be, since it's and, it's going to be what's in common with both of those. Okay? So is the left arrow in common with both? Is the left arrow shaded on both? No. At what point do I start being in common with both? Negative 3, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put an, well, I thought we were going to get it. Maybe I'll just draw it in. Okay, so I'm going to have an open circle at negative 3 here. Okay, and then I'm going to start to shade. At what point do I cease being in common with both?
As a regular.
At 3. So there's your solution, the bottom line. So you only have to do the double solution when you have an absolute value inequality. Let's look at another one. Okay. The absolute value of x is greater than or equal to 5. The absolute value of x is greater than or equal to 5. So I see an absolute value sign all by itself. So in order to get rid of it, I'm going to go ahead and split it up. So the first inequality will stay the exact same. What's my connector word? Or. Okay. Then it will be x is less than or equal to negative 5. So or means it just needs to be one or the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the way I actually do all 3 of them without doing 3 separate number lines. Okay, x is greater than or equal to 5. What type of circle would I have at 5? Closed. Which way am I going to shade? To the what?
Right.
Right, because it's greater than? Okay, for x is less than or equal to -5, what type of circle am I going to have at -5? And I'm going to shade to the left. So now for it to be an or, it just has to be in one or the other. So what is my final answer going to look like?
Do like the
Closed on -5, and which way am I going to shade? To the,
which is the right. Oh, it's not in between.
not this one because it's or.
How do you
Okay,
know if it's or and?
that's your connector word. The inequality tells you if it's or and. Greater sign goes with or, less than sign goes with and. But see how I do that? Instead of doing 3 totally separate number lines, I just do one and I kind of just do little. So we're going to look at, we got 2 more. Okay. So I'm going to warn you, this one is a little bit more difficult because it's not just an X. So I've got the absolute value sign all by itself. Once I have that all by itself, this is when I can break it up. So my first inequality, 6y minus 5 is greater than 13. What connector word will I use? Or. Okay. What's my next inequality going to look like? 6y minus 5 is less than -13. Good. Okay, the only thing you switch is the inequality sign and then the number after that. So now I have to solve each of those inequalities. So if we add 5, what do I get 6y to be greater than? 18. So what is y greater than? 3. So that's your first statement. Y is greater than 3. Now we got to solve the second one. Okay. So if I add 5 to both sides, I get 6y to be less than what? -8. So what is y less than? Negative, yeah, which is what reduced? -4/3. Yep. -1 1/3. Yes, you can have fractions. That's fine. So here we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2. So we could do 3 number lines. I'm not going to. I'm going to do a short one. So y is greater than 3. What can you tell me about that? Open circle on 3, shade. Okay. Y is less than -4/3. Yep. And I'm going to shade which way? To the left. Okay? So my final answer is going to be what? Yep, so I'm going to start here and I'm going to do what? Left, okay. Yep, and I'm going to go, there you go. And there's your final answer. Biggest thing you've got to remember is you've got to split it up. You're going to have 2 solutions whenever you have an absolute value. So I think I've got one more to look at. Yep, let's see. Yep, one more to look at, and then I'll let you go. Okay. Absolute value of 5x plus 2 is less than or equal to 17. First thing I do. 5x plus 2 is what? Okay, connector word. Okay. Next step. There you go. So now I need to solve each of those. So what is 5x less than or equal to? 15. Yep. So what is x less than or equal to? 3. Okay. So what do I get here? Greater than or equal to? -19. Yep. So x is greater than or equal to? -19/5, which, just for your own little bit of information, is -3 4/5. So see, it's okay to get fractions. You're probably not going to get whole numbers the whole time. That doesn't mean you've done it wrong. Okay, so we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So x is less than or equal to 3. So that means a closed circle on 3, and which way am I going to shade? Left. Okay? What's the next one going to be? And shade which way? To the right. So since it's and, what am I looking for? What's in common? So here, here, and here. So there you go. Questions?
Will there ever be an or that goes?
Yes, possibly. I don't know on your homework, but it could happen. Alrighty, so remember, this is your assignment from Friday. What you need to do now is go ahead and finish those problems you didn't get done from Friday. And like I said, you've got ample time now, especially those of you that have activities. If you work, you should be able to get done if you did the stuff on Friday you were supposed to do. Okay, so.
This is not, she going to be teaching stuff that you use that I've heard her